Have you ever felt like your house looks like a disaster zone and suddenly the phone rings, "I'm coming over"? That feeling of panic, wanting to disappear before someone sees your real world. Don't worry. Today I'm going to teach you how to pretend your house is clean and tidy without actually cleaning or tidying up. And I'm not going to tell you the usual hide everything under the bed or in the closet. No. This is for you, a real housewife exhausted, who doesn't even want to hear the word clean. Trick number 1, the deceptive scent. The truth is that smell is the sense that fools the brain the fastest. People associate cleanliness with fresh smell, even if there's no real cleaning. If you enter a place and it smells good, your brain automatically assumes everything is tidy, even if there are socks on the floor. That's why this trick works so well. The first thing is to attack the entrance. It's the point of impact. If when you open the door a burst of clean scent comes out, the rest of the house falls into the background. And here is where curtains play a secret role. Most people don't think about curtains, but when they move with the breeze or when someone passes close, they release the scent you put there. You don't need expensive air fresheners. You can mix water with baby cologne in a spray bottle and spritz them. The trick of using diluted fabric softener also works. Now, if you don't have an air freshener handy, I'll tell you the classic grandma's trick that still works. Boil water in a small pot, add some cinnamon sticks and the peels of an orange or lemon. Just 5 minutes is enough for the house to smell like a clean and freshly tidied home. The aromatic steam stays in the air and gives that deceptive feeling that everything is spotless. Another lesser-known trick: take a cotton ball, soak it with cheap cologne or some essential oil you buy at a market, and put it inside the vacuum cleaner tube. You don't need to actually use it. Just run it over the visible areas, even if it's unplugged. The movement of air releases the scent and it gives the effect that you cleaned all morning. If you want to go a little further, you can place a small plate with baking soda and a few drops of vanilla or lavender essence behind a door or piece of furniture. Baking soda absorbs bad odors that might be loose and the essence releases scent. Nobody sees it, but it's noticeable. You can also put some cologne on turned-off light bulbs. When you turn them on, the heat disperses the scent. The point is that the scent is perceived, but not so obvious that it's noticed you tried to cover something up. It should feel natural, as if your house smells that way every day. That's why the best is to combine 2 zones, the entrance and a curtain or window near the social area. So, when someone enters, they get the first impression, and later, when moving around, it smells good again. That repetition convinces the brain. And if you want it to seem like your bathroom was clean too, place a glass with hot water and 2 drops of cologne inside. Leave the door ajar and the steam will do its job, without scrubbing anything. So, before going crazy picking up, work with the scent. It's fast, cheap, and makes you look like the housewife who always has everything impeccable, even if you only moved a couple of things and gave 2 sprays. Before continuing, as always, I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed and support the video with a like as a gift. In the video description and in the first pinned comment, I will leave a daily organization planner for a perfectly clean home 100% free. I hope you take advantage of it. Trick 2, strategic lighting. I'm going to tell you an uncomfortable truth. Dirt and mess don't look the same in dim light. Our brain needs light to notice details, and when lighting is controlled, everything looks cleaner than it really is. That's why this trick is not only effective but almost foolproof. The first thing you need to understand is that direct light exposes imperfections. Any surface that receives intense light reveals dust, stains, papers out of place, loose cables. But if you leave the most problematic areas with soft or dim lighting, those imperfections simply disappear. The trick is to manage which areas you light up and which you keep half hidden. Before the visit or that unwanted person who shows up last minute arrives, quickly walk through your house and do a visual diagnosis. Where is the chaos? It could be that table with receipts, the corner where clothes piled up, the chair full of bags. Those areas must stay in shadow. Turn off the main lights and turn on only table lamps, candles, or indirect lights. If you have a floor lamp, place it with its back to those areas. And here I share with you an almost forbidden trick. Take a semi-transparent scarf or handkerchief, one of those made of light fabric, and place it over a lampshade or tie it gently around the bulb. As long as it's not a high heat bulb, watch out. What this does is filter the light, lower its intensity, and give it a warm effect. That warmth makes anything that looked messy before now look cozy. The brain interprets it as a relaxed environment, not disguised clutter. Another little used resource: swap the cold white bulb for a warm light one. Warm light hides dirt much better because it softens shadows. And if you can't change the bulb, loosely wrap parchment paper or wax paper around the lamp holder to filter the excess brightness. But don't let it touch the bulb if it's hot. You can also use just one lamp in a corner of the living room or dining room. That point of light attracts eyes there and keeps the rest of the room in strategic dimness. If you place a pretty plant or an aromatic candle in that corner, nobody will have reason to look anywhere else. In the kitchen, turn off the ceiling light and leave on only the light from the extractor hood or the countertop light if you have one. That soft light creates an effect of a tidy kitchen, even if there are dishes in the sink. And in hallways or passage areas, it's better without light. It's no problem if they're in shadow. In fact, it gives the feeling that the house is calm, tidy, and ready for the night. Partial darkness gives the idea of rest, not disorder. The beautiful thing about this trick is that besides hiding what you don't want to be seen, it transforms the atmosphere. Everything feels more intimate, cozy, almost like those charming cafes where nobody notices dust in the corners because the light is soft. And that's exactly what you're looking for, that no one pays attention to the mess because the lighting turns imperfection into ambience. It's psychological and it always works. If you want to give a final master touch, place a small lit candle near a wooden surface or a clean mirror. The flickering light distracts and gives a homey feeling. No one notices that the floor has lint or that the table is full of old magazines if there's a lit candle matching a soft lamp. It's an emotional distraction. And there you have it, how to hide everything without moving anything, just managing the lights like a home illusionist. Trick 3. The visual trap. This trick is one of the oldest, yet almost nobody uses it well. It's called the visual trap, and it works because the human brain is designed to look for a focal point as soon as it enters a place. When there's no clear focal point, the eye starts wandering everywhere else looking for something to make sense of the space. And that's when people notice piles of papers, loose shoes, dust in the corners, and clothes you never put away. But if you give the eye something attractive to rest on from the very first moment, everything else disappears. Attention stays fixed on that visual hook, and instinctively, what's not near that point goes into the background. It's pure psychology. Ideally, that object should be placed in a central position and have some element of contrast or soft shine to effortlessly catch the eye. For example, a pretty tray on the coffee table. It doesn't have to be expensive. It could be a plastic tray with a metallic or wooden look, the kind sold at markets or dollar stores. On top of that tray, place a large candle or two small ones, a book with an elegant cover, even if you've never read it, and some simple decorative object, a ceramic pineapple, a small artificial plant, an animal figurine, whatever. The trick is for the tray to act as a stage inside the living room. That visually organizes the space and gives people the idea that everything else must also be well cared for, even if it's not. It's an emotional hook. What matters is not the object, but the effect it produces. If you don't have a tray, you can improvise with a rustic cutting board or even a pretty cardboard box lid covered with sober wrapping paper. The goal is to create a visual island in the middle of chaos. And here's the interesting part. That visual point also works as an excuse to keep people sitting where you want. If you place that arrangement on the coffee table and next to it leave a couple of clean cushions or a folded blanket, you invite the visitor to stay there, in the area controlled by you, where you already hid the worst things under the sofa or in a dark corner. No one will get up to explore if they're comfortable and there's something pretty to look at. Another lesser-known trick is to use color contrast. If your living room is neutral tones, place a brightly colored object, red, mustard, bottle green, in that focal point. Color automatically attracts the eye. A simple red apple on a white plate can do the job if you place it well. The important thing is for it to be the only striking point, so it doesn't compete with anything else. You can also play with movement. If you have a plant with long or dry leaves, place it near that visual point. The slight movement with the air current, or even just that it seems natural, keeps the attention fixed there. People, without realizing it, will keep looking at the center, thinking the house is harmonious and decorated, even if behind the sofa there's chaos worthy of a hoarder's show. And if you want expert level, light only that visual point. Let the table lamp or soft light fall on that tray with the candle and the book. Everything else in shadow. It's like directing a play where you decide what the audience sees and what stays hidden backstage. The visual trap doesn't just hide disorder. It makes people perceive your house as elegant, cared for, with details. Even if you know that before the doorbell rang you shoved dirty clothes in the oven and the dirty dishes are hidden inside the microwave. Because yes, everything is forgiven if there's a lit candle on top of a book nobody will read. So don't underestimate this trick. It's not cheap decoration, it's perfectly calculated visual manipulation. And it always works. Trick 4. Stack, don't organize. This trick is a masterpiece of visual psychology and quick chaos management. Because here I'm not telling you to hide anything, nor to clean or organize as you're supposed to. I'm telling you to do the minimum necessary so it looks like there's order, even if everything is the same. And that is achieved by stacking. Let me explain. Our brain tolerates structured mess much better than scattered chaos. A pile of identical or similar objects conveys the idea that there is intention, that someone put that there on purpose, that it has a meaning, a reason. While the same objects scattered give the feeling of abandonment and neglect. They're exactly the same objects, only changed in position. For example, if you have magazines scattered on the table or on the floor, don't put them away. Make a stack of 3 or 4. Always an odd number, because visually it looks more natural. The nicest magazine or the one with the least embarrassing cover on top. And if you don't have magazines, do it with books, brochures, even old manuals or supermarket catalogs. Stacked they look like decoration, loose they look like trash. The same goes for papers. Don't bother sorting invoices, receipts, grocery notes, and that bank advertisement envelope. Just group them, place them inside a folder, a large envelope, or even a big paperclip. If you can, put them upright or leaning against a wall or behind some decoration. That way, they look like important documents, not loose papers you forgot to throw away. Another case, loose clothes. If you can't put them away, quickly fold them into a neat pile. 2 or 3 folded garments on a chair look like clothes someone just took off or is about to put away. 10 pieces scattered all over the living room, on the other hand, look like a visual mess. The same goes for sofa cushions. Stack them one on top of the other or line them up neatly in a corner. It looks decorative and gives a sense of intention. Got shoes scattered around? Don't hide them. Line them up by the door or place one behind another. Aligned, even if they're old, they convey order. Scattered on the floor, they look like a disaster. The stacking trick works because it turns chaos into structure. When objects are grouped or stacked, the brain perceives them as a single block, not as 20 different problems. And that block, moreover, is interpreted as something functional or decorative. Even with grocery bags, if you didn't have time to put them away, stack them folded one inside another in a corner of the kitchen or inside a basket. Putting them all in one place, even if visible, reduces the feeling of messiness by half. One important detail, stacks should have some coherence. Don't mix a magazine with a cookie package and a bank envelope. Separate by type. Papers with papers, clothes with clothes, small objects in a single bowl or box. Because a stack of similar things looks controlled. A mix of different objects looks like the result of a move in progress. And if you want to step it up, use a nice container. Any tray, wooden box, or basket instantly improves the look of a pile of objects. A stack of papers inside a box magically becomes important documents. A pile of loose things on a tray transforms into personal details. And the best part, no one dares to touch something that looks decorated intentionally. So next time you have 15 things on the table, don't hide them. Just stack them intentionally, choose which one goes on top, and place that stack next to a plant, a candle, or a soft lamp. What was a visual mess will now be part of your home's improvised decor, and no one will know that under that pretty magazine are overdue bills, and signed papers, and that 2-month-old purchase receipt. Because in the end, pretending order is just a matter of perspective. Trick 5. Blankets and cushions as accomplices. This trick is one of the oldest that exists in grandmothers' houses, but it still works because no one notices. It's about using blankets and cushions as silent accomplices to the mess. They don't judge, don't ask questions, don't clean. They just stay there, covering what you don't want to be seen and, best of all, making it look decorative. The first thing you need to understand is that in decoration there is an unwritten rule. Everything that is covered or draped is assumed to be clean or tidy. No one will lift a pretty blanket to see what's underneath. No one will move a big cushion to check what it covers. And that's the magic. If you have a chair where you tossed the jeans you wore yesterday, the t-shirt you took off, and the half-wet towel you didn't want to hang up, don't move them. Don't waste time running around the house with clothes in your hand. Just grab a nice blanket, which can be any couch throw, a big scarf, some fabric you bought on sale and never knew what to do with, and casually throw it over that chair. The key is to make it look like a natural gesture, not rigid. Let one corner of the blanket fall to the floor, covering the clothes well, and the rest cover the seat. From the outside, anyone will see a chair decorated with a cozy blanket, and never imagine the textile graveyard underneath. You can even place a cushion on top of the blanket to finish the effect. It makes no one dare to move it and completes the scene. With toy boxes or baskets that you never tidy up in time, use the same strategy. If you have a box in the living room or kids' room that looks about to burst from so many dolls, toy cars, and building blocks, don't try to organize it. Just take a big cushion, the fluffier and more eye-catching, the better, and place it on top. That's simple. The cushion acts as a visual lid. And the great thing is that people interpret a cushion on the floor or on a box as part of a reading nook, a comfy zone, a bohemian detail. No one imagines that underneath is a multicolored plastic chaos. Another extra tip: if you have several thin blankets or large scarves you don't use, fold them and keep them handy. They're excellent for covering piles of things anytime. A pile of papers on the table, covered with a nice fabric, becomes a boho textile detail. A bunch of cables and chargers under a small table, hidden with a blanket hanging from the surface, disappear from the visual map. And don't worry about colors. It's better to use neutral, earth tones, grays, or some textured blanket that looks good quality, even if it costs €3. Because texture tricks the eye and makes what's underneath seem less important. If you want the trick to work even better, pair those blankets and cushions with one of the visual anchors we mentioned before. A tray with a candle, a small plant, or an open book. That way, attention goes to the decorative detail, and no one wonders what that casually thrown blanket is covering. The key is that it looks casual, not forced. If someone notices you placed a cushion right on top of a closed box, it gives it away. But if everything looks like part of an informal, relaxed composition, the trick works. It's the old art of disguising chaos with textiles. In the end, blankets and cushions are more than decoration. They're your strategic allies to maintain domestic dignity when you didn't have time to clean anything. And the best part is, afterward, you just lift the blanket and everything is still exactly where you left it. So yes, when the house is a mess and guests are at the door, don't run. Grab a blanket, a cushion, and make it look intentional. Because sometimes, pretending to be tidy is much easier than actually being tidy. Trick 6. The closed door effect. This trick is a gem because it appeals directly to the most basic human psychology. When something is closed and seems to have a decorative or personal reason, people don't feel the same curiosity to open it. But if you just leave a door closed with no explanation, it sparks that uncomfortable question: what's behind there? And the last thing you want is someone accidentally or overconfidently opening the room with the grocery bag still unpacked, the bed unmade, the dirty laundry, and that corner that looks like a war zone. The key is to close that door, yes, but accompany it with a small visual gesture that says, "This is like this because I want it, not because I forgot to clean." And here's where 2 master tricks come in. First, hang something on the doorknob. It can be a pretty scarf, a decorative shawl, a necklace with big beads, or even a dry twig with a ribbon, very Pinterest style, even if improvised. The idea is that the door doesn't look closed by neglect, but by choice. That detail turns any closed door into an invisible barrier no one dares cross. Psychologically, it seems like part of the decor or a personal gesture. If someone sees the door closed and the scarf hanging, they assume that room is off limits for a good reason. The second trick is even more effective if you have a bit of humor or want to reinforce the effect. Place a small sign. It can be a nice handwritten note, a chalkboard sign, or a decorative card. What to put? Something like private area, creative space, rest zone, or even something silly like do not disturb the cats. Humor confuses and cuts curiosity at the root. Nobody dares to open a door that seems to have a story behind it. Another option, use a hanging decoration. Remember those fabric hearts, dream catchers, or wooden pom-poms? Hang one from the handle. Instantly, that door becomes part of the decorated environment, not a dangerous zone. And if you have several doors, alternate, one open, one ajar, one closed with a decorative detail. That way, you give the idea that everything is arranged intentionally, not just closing everything that was messy. It's like setting a quick scene, accessible zones and restricted zones, but with style. I guarantee most people, when they see a door closed with a pretty scarf or a cute sign, don't even ask what's behind it. Not out of disinterest, but because that unspoken social rule, if it's decorated, it's personal, kicks in. No one crosses that line. This trick is perfect to hide anything from messy rooms to cleaning corners, bags of clothes to donate, shopping boxes you haven't put away, or that place where you stuffed everything hurriedly before guests arrived. And the best part, it takes less than 30 seconds. Close the door, hang the scarf, done. Instant magic. Because sometimes, more than cleaning or tidying, what you need to know is what to show and what to hide with dignity. And a stylish closed door is way more powerful than a spotless room you spent 2 hours cleaning. Trick 7. Reflective allies. This trick is almost sneaky because it works so well, fooling the senses without people realizing what's convincing them. There's something about clean reflections that makes our brain assume everything around is just as cared for, even if it's not true. It's a kind of emotional mirror effect. If you see a shiny, spotless surface, you assume everything else is in order. And there lies the trap. When you don't have time to clean, instead of sweeping, wiping, or picking up dust, focus on one thing: reflections. Just that. Look for mirrors, glass, the turned-off TV screen, glass picture frames, wall clocks with shiny faces, metallic decorations, shiny cabinet doors, anything that reflects light or images. And you don't need to go crazy or pull out the full cleaning kit. With a damp cloth and a drop of detergent or alcohol, wipe those surfaces. Then, with a dry cloth, polish them. It only takes minutes. And what it creates is an immediate optical effect. Everything looks tidier, fresher, newer. Even if you actually have dust under the sofa, crumbs on the table, or a crumpled pile of dirty clothes in a corner. Especially mirrors. A clean mirror transforms a space. It better reflects natural or artificial light and visually expands the environment. And since it shines, it catches the eye. But not the kind of attention that makes you want to check the reflection, but the kind that says, everything looks nice. Because the human eye feels comfortable with clear reflections. If a mirror is dirty with spots, we automatically associate dirt and neglect. If it's spotless, even if everything else is a mess, it feels cared for. The same goes for the turned-off TV screen. Make sure it's free of dust and fingerprints. Shiny. People walk by and don't really know what they're seeing, but the feeling is good. If there are glass doors or windows, same thing. Don't clean all the glass, just clean the parts at eye level and where the light hits. So that when someone passes by, the reflection looks clean. Nobody bends down to look at the bottom part, ever. Metal decorations, door handles, bathroom faucets are also allies. Quickly wipe them to remove fingerprints and restore their shine. No need to disinfect or remove limescale, just make them gleam. The same with countertops or tables with shiny surfaces. Just wipe the visible part with a damp cloth and then a dry one. That little shine is enough to change the perception of the whole space. And here's something else. When there are sparkling reflections in a home, both natural and artificial light bounce better, making rooms look brighter and airier. And for the human brain, that means clean. Even if the carpet has dust bunnies from days ago or corners are accumulating dust. Even if the visitor is picky, this trick disables their critical eye because the shine works as an unconscious distraction. They'll walk through your house thinking, this looks nice, without noticing the details they might otherwise criticize. Extra tip, if you have a spray bottle with white vinegar and water, use it for this. It leaves everything spotless and dries quickly. And if you want to add an extra effect, a drop of cologne or vanilla essence on the dry cloth will make that reflection not only shine but smell nice too. So you know, if there's no time to clean, don't clean. Make what reflects shine. The rest can wait. Because to fool the eye and brain, a couple of shiny surfaces that reflect light well are enough. That, and a smile when you open the door. Domestic magic. Trick 8, the tray trick. This trick is so simple and so effective it seems silly, but I assure you it works because it appeals to a very human weakness. The brain loves visual boundaries. When an object is loose, it looks like clutter. When it's inside a frame, a tray, a box, or any visual container, it suddenly becomes a decorative detail, an organized zone even if it's really just a pile of stuff. Imagine this: you have your entryway table with keys, coins, cards, phone charger, headphones, hand cream, a lighter, and a bunch of notes scattered around. That looks halfway to chaos. But if you grab a tray, a nice plate, a box lid, or an open box and put everything in it, suddenly your brain interprets that collection as important things grouped because they make sense. Nobody will stop to question what's inside or if it's messy. They just see a defined spot. And that relaxes them. The best part is you don't need bought trays or anything expensive. It can be a cutting board, a large plate, a small box, a shoebox lid, a basket, or even a decorative tin. The important thing is that it has a physical boundary to hold the small items. No matter how many things there are, as long as they are within that frame, clutter turns into grouping. You can apply this trick anywhere in the house with problem corners. On the nightstand with perfumes, clock, hair ties, and tissues. In the kitchen with condiments you didn't put away. In the bathroom with creams, deodorant, cotton swabs, and that nail polish you never returned to the drawer. Put everything in a tray and perception changes. Even if you don't have a tray, use a nice deep plate or a wooden box. The brain associates that container with basic organization and stops labeling it a mess. A classic example: have you seen those magazine or Pinterest photos with a tray holding perfumes, a candle, and 2 little jewelry pieces? Well, in your house that can be a tray with unpaid bills, old receipts, hand cream, spare keys, and the charger cable. But if you put it all on a nice tray and add a candle on top, even if you don't light it, that's it. You're minimalist chic. Another tip: play with heights. If there are very small things that get lost, put a small cup or jar inside the tray to group them, like coins or loose buttons. That gives a sense of thoughtful order, even if it's just what you were going to throw into the junk drawer. And the cherry on top: if the tray has a mirrored base or metallic color, even better. Because besides containing things visually, it adds reflection and makes the corner look brighter and cleaner. In conclusion, when you don't have time to tidy up, don't hide small things. Gather them in a tray. Same mess, but in a version acceptable to the human eye. Grouped clutter becomes tolerable order. Pure mental trickery. And I swear nobody will notice. Trick 9. The invisible kitchen. This trick is a gem for when the kitchen is a total mess, but you don't want it to show and you don't have 5 minutes to fix it. The idea is simple but brilliant. Hide the ugly with darkness and offer a clean, controlled image where it can be seen. First, turn off the kitchen light. Darkness works in your favor because it hides all those piled dirty dishes, crumbs on the table, pots with leftovers, or open containers. Nobody can see what isn't lit, so the chaos magically disappears. Then, leave the kitchen door ajar, not fully open, not fully closed. This creates a visual effect that's much cozier and less suspicious than a slammed door, which invites curiosity or the thought something's being hidden. The half-open door is a subtle invitation to look, but without revealing too much. Now comes the master part. Hang a nice, clean, well-folded towel over the door handle or bar. It can be a kitchen towel in neutral colors or with elegant patterns, something that adds a decorative detail and gives a polished touch to the space. That towel works as an unconscious signal of order is cared for here, even if the rest is a mess. Finally, place a spotless teapot or coffee maker, very clean, visible right in the frame seen through the half-open door. It can be on the countertop or table. The shine of the teapot, the design of the coffee maker, or simply the fact that it's clean and in its place, sends a visual message that the kitchen is tended to and cared for. This little setup is powerful because it makes the mind of anyone entering the house focus attention on that clean, pretty detail and fill in the rest with an image of order. It's the famous filling in the blanks that the brain does. If you see something clean and cared for in a space, You assume everything around follows the same line, even if it's not true. Another extra tip: if you don't have a teapot or coffee maker, a small plant in a pretty pot or a jar with fresh flowers works just as well. What matters is giving that focal point of cleanliness and attention to detail. If the kitchen light is off, you don't even have to clean the table or sink. Nobody will see the pile of dishes, the garbage bags, or the wet cloths. They'll only see that small scene of order with the towel and teapot. Also, if the kitchen is in an open space with the rest of the house lit, the contrast makes the kitchen visually disappear, and the main focus becomes the living or dining room, where you can apply other tricks to give the impression of cleanliness. This trick is ideal for quick visits when you don't have time for a deep cleaning or tidying up. It's a visual lifesaver that saves you stress and maintains the appearance of a cared-for home. So remember, darkness, half-open door, nice towel, and clean teapot. Invisible kitchen, problem solved. Trick 10. The deterring music. This last trick is more powerful than you imagine because it goes straight to one of the most influential senses, hearing. Music not only fills the space but also shapes how that space is perceived. When you enter a home and hear soft music, there's an automatic feeling of calm, care, and an orderly, harmonious life even if there's chaos hidden behind the walls. First, soft music like instrumental jazz, bossa nova, or any light melody without lyrics works because it doesn't distract or annoy but creates an atmosphere of tranquility. This type of music makes both you and your guests feel in a cozy, elegant, and relaxed environment, which automatically lowers attention to visual details that might be messy. Additionally, music acts as a protective background noise. When you have to move things quickly, close bags, or make any movement to hide disorder, those sounds can be abrupt, uncomfortable, or draw attention. Disguising music covers those unexpected noises, making them a natural part of the environment. For example, if you need to close a trash bag, music muffles the sound of the closure. If you have to hide something quickly in a drawer, the sounds blend in and don't seem out of place. This trick also gives you emotional control. Having soft background music helps you stay calm and not get nervous when guests arrive. Sometimes, stress over the mess makes your movements rushed or clumsy, and music creates a calm rhythm that spreads serenity. To apply this trick, you don't need fancy equipment. It can simply be your phone with a small speaker or the living room stereo. It's key that the volume isn't too loud or too low, but just enough to be noticed without overpowering conversation. A soft volume that invites relaxation. Another option is to use pre-made playlists on platforms like Spotify or YouTube, with lists of soft jazz, instrumental music, chill out, or ambient music. Even nature sounds mixed with gentle instruments work perfectly. Finally, it's a trick that improves the whole package. Music adds a feeling of care and attention that can compensate for many visual imperfections or small distractions. It's like giving your home a sound skin that makes it appear clean and orderly even when it's not completely so. So, while you use air fresheners to trick the nose, lighting to confuse the eyes, and trays to organize small things, play soft music to trick the ear. It all adds up so the overall perception is of a clean, tidy, and welcoming home without having to do real cleaning. So now you know, it's not about having a perfect home or becoming obsessed with order and cleanliness every day because, let's be honest, sometimes there's no time, no desire, no energy for that. The reality is that many times we're running around, with 1,000 things on our mind, responsibilities, kids, work, and in the middle of it all, keeping a spotless house is an almost impossible mission. And that's totally okay. You don't have to feel guilty or pressured about not being 100% all the time. What you can do is learn to disguise that mess, to create the illusion of a clean, orderly, and cozy space without investing hours or mentally exhausting yourself. These tricks aren't just tricks to fool others, but also to give yourself a break, so you don't feel like the house is controlling you or that every visitor will be a source of stress. It's adding a bit of practical magic to daily life because, let's face it, perfection isn't always realistic, and what matters is feeling good in your space even if it's not shiny and sparkling all the time. Also, these tricks empower you and give you back control when it feels like the house and chaos are winning the battle. They are little allies you can use to make your space look more cared for without having to clean every corner thoroughly. And you don't have to use them all at once. You can pick the ones that work best for you or that fit your routine and lifestyle better. The idea is that they serve you, make your life easier, and reduce the pressure. And the most fun part, this list can grow and change. I'm sure you have a little known, weird, or invented trick that works perfectly for you, even if it seems crazy or unconventional. So I invite you to leave in the comments which of these tricks you'll try first, and above all, share that strange, personal trick you use so others can try it too. Together, we can build a community of tricks and solutions that truly understand the real life of homemakers who don't always have time to clean deeply, but do have time to create pleasant, stylish environments. In the end, cleanliness and order are important, of course, but they don't have to become a source of stress or guilt. Sometimes, creativity, perception, and a few well-applied tricks are worth more than hours of mopping and vacuuming. So give space to that part of you that knows how to make do, that knows how to take advantage of chaos, and that doesn't let itself be defeated by the mountain of clothes or dirty dishes. Don't look for perfection, look for comfort, practicality, and make your home a place where you can breathe easy, where the welcome is pleasant, and where, with a couple of smart moves, you can feel like everything is under control, even if deep down you know it's not. So thank you for getting this far, for giving these unconventional tricks a chance, and remember, you are not alone in this daily battle. We are here to share, help each other, and make life at home a little easier and much more manageable. Now, tell me in the comments which trick you'll put into practice first. Or better yet, invent one that's even stranger, crazier, and we'll add it to this list to keep growing together. Because in the end, the real secret is learning to play with reality, to make the most out of disorder, and to not take everything so seriously. See you in the next video, and until then let's disguise that chaos with style.